When we talk about a film, we aren't talking just of a director. We talk about a crew. We talk about hundreds, even thousands of people working together to achieve a piece of art, to transmit a story what could make the audience feel the same emotions how they felt during the production. When we talk about the top of the crew film hierarchy who manage the whole filming process, we're just not talking about the director or the producers. We talk about the third important person of this huge production crew, and who could be the principal person who manages the proper equilibrium between them. I am talking about the cinematographer or director of photography. The DOP or cinematographer is the person in charge of giving the film the look it needs to fit the original idea of the script and the vision or perception of that script through the eyes of the director. Basically, I could say that the DOP is in charge of creating or giving soul to the project, because without the general sense of color or the visual perspective and transmission of the intention, it would not be possible to have the impact that is really required in the final product to the target is being making for, which in this case is the audience. During the last few weeks, we have been investigating the process of a film from its original idea and its passage through the pre-production, production and post-production to its final presentation in a movie theater and worldwide distribution. We have reviewed the type of knowledge that each character that plays a role in this type of production needs. On the other hand, we have carried out a selective search and a choice of the professional career in the film industry that best suits our interests, and it's more in line with the vision we have of ourselves in the future. Through this presentation, I will share with you what has been the career that I have chosen, why I have done it, and a personal vision that I have of the two most representative professionals from my personal choice, and that I think have laid the foundation of the style that I am going to develop in this field from now to future as a director of photography or cinematographer. Now we have this concept clear, we can understand a little more about the work that a DOP does within a film, the way in which he must communicate with each technical team, and his constant search to create the highest visual quality and maintain the balance of lighting on the set, the specific camera movements and the final color palette with the post-production team. The first, and the one I consider the best DOP of all times, is Sir Roger Alexander Deakins. Born May 24, 1949 in Torquay in the English Shell of Devon. From a very young age he was tied to art through painting classes, and already in his youth he developed his passion for photography. After school he applied for the newly opened National Film School, the same one that rejected him when considering his photography as a barely filmic. After this, he would spend a long period of time photographing rural life in North Devon before finally being admitted to the National Film School in 1972. By the early 80s, Deakins began to shoot films with his schoolmate Michael Radford, and it would be in the 1984 film based on Orwell's novel of the same name, in which he would apply a technique called bleach bypass, which is about retaining the silver halides in the printing of the film, thus giving a pale effect in which the black and white are accentuated and the colors are desaturated. Deakins would be the first Western cinematographer to apply this technique, which he would use as a personal signature in subsequent films such as Sid and Nancy in 1986, Defense of the Realm in 1986, Seven in 1995, Saving Private Ryan in 1998, a DOP that also manages its own sense of light and composition in the most natural sense and using the old school technique. Second on my list, but not least, and based on my personal taste for the films of the great director Quentin Tarantino, we have to Mr. Robert Richardson, born August 27, 1955 in Hines, Massachusetts, United States. Acclaimed cinematographer Robert Richardson has worked on multiple projects with some of the biggest names in Hollywood: Oliver Stone, John Sayles, Errol Morris, Quentin Tarantino, previously mentioned, and Martin Scorsese. This is what he has made a name in this industry and an example and inspiration to many. One of the few notable distinguishing features of a Robert Richardson composition is the famous halo appearance. You'll see him in Stone JFK 1991 and Born of the 4th of July 1989, Scorsese's Casino 1995, The Aviator 2004, and Tarantino's Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2 2003-2004, and Inglourious Basterds 2009. The look can actually be quite simple to pull off, but Richardson elevated it by using lights from a top-down angle that are hard and direct on the subject, making them appear lit against a dark background. When done correctly, backlit and usually with characters with long hair for added effect, the halo casts characters in an otherworldly light. They literally loom large off-screen. You can find many behind-the-scenes examples of Richardson flying through sets on the Pegasus, operating the camera's fluid head to nail some of the most controlled and realistic camera movements ever captured on film. He has embraced the challenge of working with a mixed variety of media and textures, along with many different styles and brands of cameras and lenses. This is due in part to the experimental nature of many of the projects he has collaborated on. Examples include the 8mm television inserts of Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and the high-concept 3D compositions of Scorsese's Hugo. Technical comparisons. Robert Deakins, most of his films have been in standard 185 format. He doesn't like the work with a big variety of lenses. Great adaptation to technological changes, jump from film to digital. Roger Deakins is known for working with stories in which the characters are the central point. He is a professional influenced by all his surroundings, and his images continue to be an expression of his gaze, built by all his experiences. Rob Richardson. He always shoots using the eyepiece, since he considers the new monitor's methods taking you out of the story you are telling and mixing you up with the reality of the world surround. He prefers to keep shooting using the film's old style as it is and stay away from digital. Almost always boil down to this fundamental principle, and why you don't have to use the exact same Richardson angelic halo effect in every one of your shoots. It does provide a strong dynamic between light and dark. Of course, while it sounds like he's willing to try anything once, Richardson still has a notable preference for working with Panavision cameras and lenses.